This concept hit me like a ton of bricks this morning. I'm just going to get right to the point. What do chess, checkers, and some other board games do? What do they have in common? And how do they relate to money keeping? What? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on the Save Money and More with Jan channel. How you doing? Happy weekend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry about last night. I inadvertently put a Wednesday show on last night. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to confuse the viewer. So I unlisted it. But maybe eventually it'll come back in the future on a Wednesday where it belongs. Hey, that happens. When you're uploading like 62, count them, 62 plus videos a month, that kind of thing could happen. So I'll take blame. But anyway, let's talk about something that a lot of people may not think about. This thing hit me over a cup of coffee this morning on actual time, on actual Saturday morning, like everybody else waking up on a Saturday morning in May. Yeah, 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 yeah. What do, especially, let me point out two board games, common board games played all over the world. People love it. I learned how to play checkers when I was a little kid, learned how to, well, I kind of learned how to play chess, but that's its own show. One thing that those two games have, and the whole game is based on one word. What is the word? Strategy. Why? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to have a strategy with your opponent when you are playing checkers, when you are playing chess. It's not like somebody's writing this down and giving you the directives. You, at the moment in time, have to figure out the right strategy to what? Stay ahead of your opponent. Am I right or am I right? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. The same thing applies and holds true to financial planning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, this goes for anybody of any income level. Here's the difference between a lower income level and a higher income level. Scale. Scale. Lower income level things take longer to happen. Higher income level things take faster to happen if you use the right strategy. Okay. Because some people, despite the fact that they may have a higher income level, don't necessarily manage their money as well as some folks that I know who have a much lower income but know how to strategize what they do have. Let's think about that for a minute. One of the key things, and this does not, NOT, with capital NOT in bold print, this does not have to cost a fortune in terms of this particular strategy. I'm going to recommend that folks understand something, okay? I'm going to recommend that folks understand that if a person, okay, they have a low income. Let's talk. Let's just dice it down to the lower income listener. Okay, for the lower income listener, this is specifically for you guys. Okay, this is a great message. I'm telling you, it's a little bit of a gold nugget. Okay, and I'll get back to it in a minute. However, I'm trying to find something here as we speak. Okay, so let's see. We will get back to that as soon as I remind you of the following. So if you have not done so yet, thank you so much for clicking like. I really do appreciate it. And if you're considering subscribing, do so. I appreciate it. Sharing the video is very helpful too. All right, let's dial this back to before the reminder video clip. All right. If a person has a lower income, sometimes people feel like they just can't get out of that cycle. They can't get out of that cycle. Take heart. Here is a really good beginning strategy. Okay. To stay ahead of the game, add up your entire monthly expenses. Be generous about it. Don't be skimpy about it. Everything that you pay out in your bills specifically. Okay. You might want to throw in a little bit more for fluffery. Why? Because this is real life. And in real life, fluffery happens. Even if the so called fluffery is buying an extra box or two of box cake mix. I'm just saying, and I'm speaking plainly. All right. So let's dial it back. The lower income person, this would be my suggestion. I don't give advice. I am not a financial planner. I'm just giving what I believe works and has worked for me. Start off small. Start off small, okay? And aim to now do the math, be honest with the math. What do you pay out monthly? You add in a little fluffery, and I would strongly suggest enough money to add as a budget buffer. That is the number one should consider working with in the beginning to aim to save. Now, how do we go about doing this in an accelerated basis? Well, a person can take on a part time temporary job, a position, not a forever thing if that's not your thing, just to add up to that number and you put it away. Well, Jan, why should a person do that? I'll tell you why. Because let's think about it. It's kind of like the game of checkers. It's kind of like, like when you click. Listen to me. I'm thinking of electronic stuff. Hello. But when you're playing the board game itself, you want to, jump the checkers, if you will, that terminology jump. Why don't we become a jump ahead of things? And I'm not saying here at this exact moment in time, look ahead to the 6 months emergency fund thing. We are just going to get started with having enough money for a full month of expenses. That way, what you're doing is you're already ready ahead of the game before the bills come in. Too many times, this is what a lot of people do, and bless everyone's heart that does it because it's not an easy thing to do. So I'm just saying, just trying to chop this up, just trying to break this down into the babiest bites possible. What a lot of people do, they don't have a lot of funds and they wait for the bills coming in, trickle in, pay that, trickle in, pay that. Instead of that, you know why I don't like that? I'll tell you why. I don't like that because, in my opinion, now I could be wrong because I am not a guru. And again, I'm not an advisor. I'm just telling you how I personally react to things. But I would imagine that an average person, such as myself, okay, would feel more stressed out doing these little bitty trickle down. There are sometimes I want baby bites, and there are sometimes I want whole chunks. And the whole chunk, in my honest opinion, is to always be ahead of your bills, to always have that much money and a little more. Remember, I said the budget buffer. You'd be shocked and happily amazed that that budget buffer is available for things you did not expect to happen. So let's say this is Saturday morning in real time that you are listening to this for the very first time. Maybe or maybe not. It depends on your personal schedule. And you're a low income person and you really relating to this and this message resonates. First of all, let me know that in the comment section below that this idea makes sense. Okay. But if you're a person that actively wants to make a start, sit down and write the numbers. A lot of people have unwarranted fears. I know. One of them is they don't want to look at their own numbers. And in my honest opinion, I believe this is what keeps people holding back. This is what keeps people holding back. They don't want to look at their own numbers. I never could understand it, honestly. And here's another thing that I think we should all do and never stop doing. Hang on. Saving money should never go out of style. In order to invest money, you have to have money to invest. That's my opinion. There you go. So I hopefully help at least one listener out there. Sit down, know your numbers, write the numbers, add a little bit more in for a budget buffer, figure out that number that you're aiming for, and aim to reach that goal. You will always feel a lot better knowing you are ahead of the game, kind of like chess or checkers. There you go. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Here's a little bit of happy music to end the happy thought. Hang on. Have an amazing, fantastic day. And don't forget to click, like, share, and subscribe.